Before I start, I like to tell everybody I answer all my mail. I've never used a computer. I can't get to our website. I'm sure you can, patchadams.org. There's an address. I write 400 to 600 longhand letters a month. I am your friend. If I can help you in any way, I invite your correspondence. Health and health care are a human right for all people. I entered medical school in 1967 to use it as a vehicle for social change. I was a whole systems thinker. What I wanted to do was to create a hospital that addressed every single problem of healthcare delivery in one model. When I graduated in '71, no one gave us a hospital, so 20 adults, 3 of us physicians, and our children moved into a large 6-bedroom house and said we were a hospital. We were open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for all manner of medical problems from birth to death. In the 12-year pilot, we had 500 to 1,000 people in our home each month with 5 to 50 overnight guests a night. Never in our 40-year history have we charged money for anything. In fact, we wanted to eliminate the idea of debt in the medical interaction. We never wanted people to think they owed something. We wanted them to be excited that they belonged to something called community. Our ideal patient was somebody who wanted to create a deep personal friendship with us. We have never had anything to do with third-party reimbursement. I've never seen an insurance form. We never heard anyone say anything nice about an insurance company. We've never carried malpractice insurance because we know we are imperfect. We can always promise care. We can never promise cure. We need the right to make a mistake. As a family doctor, I knew I wanted to know my patients, so my first interview with an adult patient is 4 hours long. I ask every question sensitive to life. I visited their home. And what I found out was that less than 3% of the adult population I saw did not have self-esteem. Less than 5% had any idea what a day-to-day vitality for life was about. What we just heard about health, practically no one actually was proactive for their health. And that's why from our very beginning we integrated medicine with performing arts, arts and crafts, agriculture, nature, education, recreation, and social service. In a way, we use their disease as a gimmick to get them into a university of human culture. We were teaching love, joy, humor, passion, hope, wonder, curiosity, creativity, intimacy, shared efforts with people. We've been the only hospital to integrate all the healing arts. When we started, it was against the law. Our law is what do the patients need. So from our very beginning, everything you've ever heard of as complementary care, we have been involved in. We weren't given a single donation in those first 12 years, and no one gave us a donation of any kind, and so we worked outside jobs to pay to practice medicine. For 40 years, I have paid to be a doctor. And I say that without any sense of sacrifice or long and hard journey. Rather, the unencumbered practice of care is an ecstatic experience worth paying to do. We also never had anything resembling privacy. There was never, in any course of the day, anything resembling privacy. And yet our first 9 years, no staff person left. And this was, in a way, what the Hollywood movie picked up on, and that is that we were the first silly hospital in history. We were silly to live with and silly to die with. If you only have a week to live, I'm your man. We also never disliked a patient enough to give them a psychiatric medication. We were interested in exploring non-pharmaceutical mental health. And 3,000 of our 15,000 patients that came through our home had profound mental illness, and we never gave any medication. After 12 years, we realized that it was more important for us to build a model hospital than to do the cute frontier work that we were doing, and that in order to do that, having refused publicity before this, we realized that this country never rewards intelligence, it rewards fame. And so I agreed to become famous in hopes that that would build our hospital. We had such a difficult time closing. We loved the practice of medicine. I learned to live on very little sleep. I learned the thrill of loving people. To give you an idea, you're wondering, well, what the hell did he do with schizophrenia? There were times I held him in my arms for 10 hours, saying I love you, and also goofing, playing. It was like a cauldron of exploration the entire time. How does one get a person interested in exercise or diet, but much more importantly, intimacy, human love, since we found that most people were lonely. In fact, the normal American that we saw didn't like themselves, didn't like their marriage, and didn't like their job, and none of those were reasons they came to us. So we closed our doors, knowing that we couldn't tell a nation with so many people who couldn't get care. And as we've heard, even if you could afford care, you can't get the kind of care that we give. And so we went public, closed our doors, and to tell you the truth, I thought we would be built in 4 years, that I knew the need when I was in medical school, and I thought people would say, wow, this is an interesting project. Let's fund it and see what happens. So we went public. I got famous. I started to lecture. I've been on the road now for 27 years in 70 countries, most of that time 300 days a year. I've lectured at over 90 of our medical schools, many of them many times, medical schools in 70 countries. I correspond with medical personnel in 120 countries. Nowhere are hospitals happy in the world. Medical students are hugely dissatisfied. If I go to a country to speak, 6,000 students show up. They would love a joyful, sweet practice of medicine. All over the world, physicians are rude. There is a hierarchy. All over the world, there is a deep sadness that you don't have enough time with patients, that it was so much of a mask in this work for healthcare reform to think that somehow if we paid for everything, we would have good healthcare delivery or health delivery. And all this time, I thought that by having good ideas, we would be funded. You understand, we've eliminated 90% of the cost of healthcare. For example, at our hospital, the cleaning person and the surgeon make the same salary, $300 a month. And you may think only nuts would apply. Thousands of doctors and nurses apply every year to work for $300 a month. Why? I like to think of it as the gradient of working for money or working for love, that people will trade several $1 million a year as a surgeon for $3,600 to serve humanity. They also have added the component of really being concerned with the future of humanity and knowing that we need another way of living if we're to survive as a species. And during our 40 years, the environmental movement obviously became very important, differently important. And so we are a communal eco-village project. The permanent staff will live at our hospital. In these travels, we've connected with projects all over the world. I started to take what we call clown trips all over the world. We've done that literally in 3 war zones and countless refugee camps. And in a way, it's our education to teach compassion, because we found out that no medical school in the world teaches compassion as an embedded course, that from the first day until graduation, that it is clear that the practice of medicine is the practice of compassion with whatever humble tools and knowledge that you have to help another person. So, particularly since the film promised to build our hospital. None of the profits from the film ever came to us. And so basically 40 years into this work, we are still trying to build our hospital. We have 310 acres in Pocahontas County, West Virginia, and we have an unlimited number of doctors and nurses and personnel ready to work there. We wanted to go to the poorest state. A very exciting thing is 2 weeks ago, we broke ground, and we are now starting to build. And the nice thing about it taking so long is that imagine if you had 40 years to think about design, 40 years to think about what your ideal practice is, not what you'll get by with. And so the intelligence of the design is so much sweeter than it was at the beginning of this work. And We've also found ways to make it so much cheaper, again, through creating an economic system that's based on friendship and shared skills and these sorts of things. Another very exciting thing in our work is that by being involved in medical students from all over the world and seeing the agony of their experience in medical school, of it not being what they dreamed it would be in care, that we have been challenging medical schools for 30 years all over the world to create an embedded course in compassion. And last month, University of Peru, Cayetano Heredia has agreed to let us, what we're going to do is study what that means, compassion, in the practice of medicine. And very soon on our website, you will see the papers going up, the things that the students in this medical school will explore for 1 year. And then we will collectively, because we didn't want to come in as the old fart doctors who thought we knew what to do. We wanted to work with medical students. And an exciting thing is that because we're involved with medical students all over the world, we're inviting medical students all over the world to form groups within their own school for 1 year to study the things that you, again, will see on our website, to then collectively create a syllabus for the embedding of compassion as what the practice of medicine is. So that, all this in the last month, it's kind of thrilling to age, isn't it? I did get health insurance for the first time in May, thanks to your tax dollars. I turned 65, so I don't know if I really feel covered. But I have been one of those people who have lived healthy. However nice and wonderful and healthy I was at 30, it's nothing like my health is at 65. And so we've got to start giving aging a really good vibration. I was very interested in what was said about the teaching of health. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, our patient said, "Cut the crap, doc, give me a pill." That was a normal patient that they actually didn't want. And so we tricked them by having large dances 3 times a week. I'm not exercising, I'm having fun. And we would trick them in so many ways. I don't really have time to go into those ways, but they came and stayed in our home, so they had to eat the food we prepared. And there was a constant exposure. What I required of our staff is I wanted a staff, permanent staff, that were happy, funny, loving, cooperative, creative, and thoughtful. Those were the degrees that I wanted them to bring, so that would be the context for both the caregiver and the patient and the families, because for us, the health of the caregiver is as important as the health of the patient. And so we literally had a huge atmosphere of tenderness and sweetness at all times. And I'm thrilled to say my sons, who are 34 and 23, they work with me. My brother works with me. It's a lot of nepotism going on. And that a lot of the people have been involved with us for a huge amount of time. I've never had any discouragement, not for 1 second. People have said, has it been hard? Hard would have been working in the American system. In my medical school, 90% of the attendings that I saw as a student were rude and arrogant. And my mother taught me never, that was about the worst thing a human could be. And I couldn't believe how everyone was silent about it. Hospitals have asked me and said, what can we do about our rude, arrogant doctors? I say, just have them, either give them a large financial punishment, or have them wear a sign, "I am a rude doctor," and see if that doesn't affect change somehow. That nothing has been hard about this journey. It has been a thrill to practice medicine. I never dreamed that we would be involved all over the world. We're active in 40 countries. 6 years ago, we found 5-year-olds in the Peruvian Amazon with gonorrhea. And we have a lifetime project there. We decided 6 years ago, and just in this August, we had 135 people from 13 countries, a number of medical students, and we are using Paulo Freire's work and trying to understand how to help a society move from child sexual slavery. If you're not aware of the issue, it's a $15 billion a year industry, 20 to 50 million men a day. We've been very concerned about orphan work. We've been involved in Russia for 26 years, and we now take care of 400 orphans in Moscow and St. Petersburg. That I own nothing. I have no safety net, no life insurance or health insurance until Medicare. I literally have no property. Everything I make goes directly to our work, and I feel like the richest person on the planet. I invite you to help me finish building the hospital. I invite you, if you want to have a language for what we're doing, go to our website, to the idea section, and read Susan Parenti's 2 papers, and Think Mentally, for example, and read mine. Because we're just an example. One of the things that has been thrilling to go all over the world is that, boink, I'm done. Thank you very much.